sun is just about rising. Here. It's beautiful. It's very cold, -2 or 3 degrees I think. But I'm going to run in the forest. But before I want to share what has been the big inspiration, or one of the big inspirations for me to follow this fruit raw vegan lifestyle. Even sometimes it seems senseless. Oh, why should you be so strict with striving for raw food? It's just cooked food is fine. It's completely fine. Yeah, anyone who's interested, I recommend to read Left in the Dark. It's a book by an Englishman, Tony Wrigth, who puts out some theories to inspire maybe science to do some research. So far, that's as far as I know, it's not. Science is not really interested in these theories. Yeah, but to the book. Well, he talks from a fall of mankind, like every religion, every old tradition say there is something deeply wrong with human, in our mind especially. And in the Bible they talk about it, in the Bhagavad Gita, in all these books, Quran, they're talking about the fall of mankind. And what could have been this fall? Tony speculates that it was our probably forced leaving of the jungle, because we would never leave a paradise, yeah, or an environment where we were thriving. So, and in the jungle, basically, we ate very chemical complex fruits 24/7. That means all the day and every time, every day. Yeah. What is special about fruit? He describes it quite scientific in his book. Fruit is just not. It's for sure something to eat, something very nice to eat, something which tastes good to all of us, especially when we are children. Later we can get spoiled by other foods, heavy, greasy, cooked food stuff. And yeah, what's special about fruit? Basically, fruit is a sex organ of the plant. That means the plant, the tree, the fruit tree produces fruit to reproduce, and that's why it's full with chemicals. Full with chemicals. Science has not even looked very deep into this far. Flavonoid and all these things, you know, full with vitamins and chemicals. It's much more complex than other foods we eat, than meat or than grains. So, and for sure this, every engineer knows this, he says, what you put in your machine influences strongly how the machine runs. In my Ferrari, I cannot put the worst fuel and expecting that it's running very good. So it's stupid bullshit. But the problem, and there you see that something really wrong is in our mind, or with our species, something really deeply wrong, is that we are on this loop where you gather false knowledge, and then you practice this false knowledge, and then you get thousands of problems. But being ignorant, having the ego, we think, yeah, man, we are succeeding enormously. Look at what we all build, all this technology and stuff. But it's a backwards loop. Our ego thinks we are very successful, that's why continuing on this road. which is destroying ourselves. And everyone who says no, everything is fine, what science is saying, which is researching evolution and stuff, they say everything is fine. But then you just have to look at the fact that we killed millions and millions of our same species. We are the sickest species of the world, and our behavior often is really questionable. So, and Tony says this problem is mostly because we changed our food. From a fruit diet, firstly probably to the things which were in the savannah, mostly plants, also mainly roots, but we probably began to cook, and this cooking is not much different from genetically modifying, because what does genetically modifying does? It changes the structure of the food, the chemical structure. What is cooking doing? Completely changing the structure of the food, completely destroying the original structure and having something really different. And that's the same thing with what I said with the car and the fuel. Put a really different fuel inside your car, and the car will probably not run at all, but if you're lucky it will still run, but really different from before. And so the chemicals we put basically inside our body, which perfectly would be fruit, but they are also what kind of fruit, because I think fruit might have all these effects, but the really wild fruits and whatever we ate, no one knows, probably mostly figs, because our closest relatives, primates, if they can have figs, they eat figs all the time, and mostly they sustain themselves on figs, on wild figs in the jungles. If it's in so yeah, they mostly sustain themselves on the figs. And yeah, our food builds basically our DNA builds all our body, so also our brain. And everyone can research that there is something about left, right brain, and we are mostly nowadays in our left brain, which is a logical thinking brain, and also the brain which is related to depression and our ego, our false sense. The traditions talking about Maya, the illusion. You think everything is right, but if you wake up, you realize it's all an illusion, what you believe in. And the right brain, mostly highly intuitive. There's art, the ability of art, making art, and all the things which are creative, more or less. So, and with indulging in these chemical cocktails, our brain would run very different, and everyone who goes on a fruit-based diet, I think, will experience this. And this is the most challenging, I would say, from all, because you will feel like how the world is running, how society is running, is just a jigsaw. It's a jigsaw. And yeah, this change of food could have been our fault. Maybe it sounds too simple, but many things are simple. When you go back to the truth, you see it's mostly simple. And yeah, the problem is that now we are destroying our environment completely, and especially Central forest of Africa gets destroyed. Yeah. What can we do? That he says also in his book, the biggest step we have to take now is to don't get fooled anymore into that feedback loop where we are thinking that everything is fine, and so continuing with our actions which are creating thousands of problems. For example, easy example is we think, yeah, it's really nice now when people are sick, we have machines which care for them, and so people get older, and that's very successful, huh? It seems very successful. But is it really? No, it is not. We are fooled. It's illusion. It's deeply illusion, because normally the person would not get even sick. We would not have to produce these machines. We would not have to mine for resources to produce these machines. And so if you see this, you can do it with most technology things. Let's say GPS. Okay, GPS is really helpful for me also often, but I think it's also just illusion. If you see animals like the birds, now they travel south to Africa without GPS. They just know it. They're so intuitive. They have it all in their brain, all in their mind. And we lost all this. And what Tony also says, solutions, it's really difficult, he says, because the cooking and the wrong food eating is going on for so long. We deeply destroyed and changed something in our mind, how it works. And to go back, the best things is, he says, to look in the oldest traditions because they were still more normal than us and trying to figure out, trying to solve the problems. And how did they try to solve the problems? Which things like meditation, trance dancing, and many psychedelic drugs like ayahuasca, marijuana, and so on and so on. Why? Just to bring themselves for a short period of time back into this highly state of bliss where everything is nice, and that's the state we belong to. In the Bhagavad Gita, they say we are Sat Chit Ananda, infinite, happy, and full of wisdom. That's our normal stage. So we fall out of this stage clearly. And yeah, a simple step to go back is, I think, the first thing we can do immediately is to change our food back to a raw food diet, and they are as natural as possible. We have to look here, we have to experiment, and the more people doing this, the more experience we get, the more we can share and see what's really influencing us. If it's this fruit, that fruit, whatever. But first step is we have to get out of the old way, make new experience, share this experience, and from there going on. But most important first is to get out of this feedback negative loop where we think everything is wrong, which is clearly not.